So just because something's an intuition that pops in your head, part of what I train people to do is to recognize, is that even really my intuition, or is that somebody else's energetic programming? So it's a rich area, the whole area of intuition. And it's important for people to get, just because it pops in your head doesn't mean it's intuition necessarily. And the good news is you can learn to tell the difference.
Namaste. You're listening to the Savannah Podcast. Join us on an exploration of Eastern spirituality, yoga philosophy, and conscious living for the new age. This podcast is a production of SavannahSpirit.com, the best place to shop for unique clothing, spiritual handcrafted jewelry, healing gemstones, and fair trade gifts from the Far East. Now, here's your host, Brett Larkin.
Hello, Savannah family. We are picking right up in my conversation with Art Giser. I spoke to him on Tuesday, and let's dive into it. Listeners, if you didn't catch Tuesday's episode, we got to meet Art and learn all about NLP, that stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and Energetic NLP, which he created and really blends the logic and the mysticism in terms of clearing our energy. And we talked on Tuesday about spiritual contracts, karma, so much interesting stuff. So if you didn't catch that episode, I really encourage you to check it out. And so much of what he was talking about, I felt like we really just needed to experience. And Art is so kind, and he's agreed to lead us through an energetic clearing. Or maybe I should let you describe what you're going to lead us through. But I'm so excited. So this is definitely an episode that you're going to want to be able to sit and, maybe not listen to while driving a car.
Yeah, and if I can just build on that, absolutely don't listen to it when you're driving. Whether you believe in remote energy work or not, even if you're listening to this later as a recording, the energy will be activated. And the energy is designed to get you to go inward, not how you want to be when you're driving. So definitely don't listen to this while you're driving, please.
Yeah, and the big question I think we came upon last time was just, how do we clear out energetic programming that's not working for us? And then how do we even know where we're held back and blocked? Because it might be from a past life, or it might be, we might not even know how. So I'm going to let you take over, and I'm all comfortable in my seat, and I hope everyone listening is too. And let's experience some clearing.
Well, and I just want to say thank you for this opportunity, because I love taking people through these processes. So this is like happy time for me. A couple of things. The idea, and went through this more last time, but just to quickly catch people up, you've been energetically programmed at least since you were in your mother's womb. So everybody knows they were unconsciously programmed, but you're also energetically programmed, and your parents didn't know they were doing it, but they were programmed to program their children. And this isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing. Every child needs to learn the rules of whatever family and society they're born into. Part of the problem is whatever you think of the beliefs and programming of your parents, it isn't even just coming from them. It's coming generationally. The great-grandparents programming the grandparents, programming your parents, programming you, and it goes on and on and on. The goal is that you want to clear the programming that your inner wisdom and your spirit don't want you to have. More involved processes that can be done. And I know Brett teaches people about journaling and stuff, and that's a great way to become aware of beliefs that are programmed into you, but that you also consciously believe. This process we're about to do, you don't have to figure any of that out to do the beginning part of this. And the beginning part's super powerful, because your inner wisdom and spirit know the programming that your spirit and your inner wisdom want you to let go of. So you don't have to figure that out consciously. So again, just to make sure this is clear, there's some things you consciously believe, and often people do need to think about it consciously and make a decision. But there's a lot of the programming in everybody's space. I don't care who you are, in everybody's energy field, their inner wisdom spirit doesn't want. So you can just let go of it. You don't need to analyze it. You don't need to figure it out. And in fact, if you try to analyze it and figure it out, you'll get 100th out of this process is what you can get.
And I remember you gave the example before of someone who consciously is like, I'm worthy, I'm a hard worker, but subconsciously somehow they just don't feel worthy.
Exactly. That's a perfect example. And in this process, you're going to put your inner wisdom and spirit in charge. And when your inner wisdom, which is human, and your spirit, which is the vast part of yourself, are working together, in energetic NLP, we call that your miraculous self, which is different than your high self. Your high self just exists. Your miraculous self is something you have to build. And in our programs, we really build the strength of it. But you can start building it right now just by deciding you want to have one, that you want your spirit and your inner wisdom to be working together. And some of you are probably thinking, well, don't they work together automatically? Well, I've been doing this 33 years, and I can tell you absolutely not. It would be nice, but that's not the way it works. But right now, if you go, okay, I want my inner wisdom and spirit to form a miraculous self, it'll start happening. I mean, it's as simple, the beginning part is as simple as that. I do a lot of work in London, and for fun, we started calling the miraculous self your M, which, if you know James Bond movies, that's his boss, M. So if I say your M, I mean your miraculous self, I mean your inner wisdom and spirit.
I just wanted to ask a question because I'm wondering, people might be wondering this too. This is so fascinating about what you're saying about your spirit and your inner wisdom don't necessarily work together unless we develop them to have that friendship. I know so many listeners and folks in my community have questions about intuition, right? So where does intuition play into that? Is intuition the inner wisdom, or is intuition more the spirit? Sorry.
No, it's a great question. There's different levels of intuition, and that we could have a whole conversation about that. Yeah. So I mean, when somebody has an intuition, one of the things I train people is what type of intuition? Is it something coming from your spirit? Is it something you're channeling? Is it your unconscious mind has figured something out? Is it your human inner wisdom? And they're all valuable, and they're different. And the thing that I mentioned last time, but I'll mention again, when it's just from your spirit, the spirit is so much like the perfect parent who's going, whatever you want, dear. And your spirit gives you a certain amount of free will to make choices in your life. And your spirit sees the validity of all kinds of spiritual paths, where as a human being, you might be going, well, my struggling financially is a totally valid spiritual path, but I'd rather not do that one. I'd rather have an abundant life. When your inner wisdom and spirit are working together, then they inform each other and create, because in energetic NLP, we're not trying to transcend life. We believe everybody's a beautiful, powerful spiritual being, and we want them to embody more of that in their physical life. You need for your spirit to be working with your inner human wisdom to really fully embody this vast, beautiful, powerful being that you are. I guess I shouldn't say more fully embody. So
no, I think you answered my question though. It's like what you're saying is so interesting because it's like people are often confused about their intuition because it's like, well, my intuition is telling me to, like renounce all my belongings and, go do whatever. And you're saying maybe that's coming from the spirit, which, really grants permission, but isn't super practical sometimes, right? So the intuitive voice, we need to think about, well, where is that coming from? And the intuitive voice could be coming from either or from different parts of ourselves.
Well, and the danger in it is some of what people call intuition is energetic programming. So it's, we have a tendency to think if it's in our mind that it's authentic to us. A lot of the emotions people feel, a lot of the thoughts they have are not their own. I'm not talking about possession. It's like we're receivers and we're receiving other human beings' energies all the time. Some of those energies get stuck in us, and how to clear those out. What we're going to do in just a couple of minutes is one of the steps to clearing that out. So just because something's an intuition that pops in your head, part of what I train people to do is to recognize, is that even really my intuition, or is that somebody else's energetic programming? So it's a rich area, the whole area of intuition. And it's important for people to get, just because it pops in your head doesn't mean it's intuition necessarily. And the good news is you can learn to tell the difference.
I love it. Okay.
And even better news is you develop friends who can also read your energy, who can help you go, wait a minute, I'm not sure that's yours, but there's ways to do that. In terms of turning out, in clearing the soul programming, there's two other quick concepts. So one is there's an energy that people often call eye of God energy. It's in Hinduism, Buddhism, it's in Islam, it's in Judaism, it's in Christianity, it's in all kinds of traditions. And it's this spiritual energy that just vaporizes something. And one of the names for it is called eye of God energy. The important thing is it's an energy that will just, if your spirit and your inner wisdom want you to release something, it will just turn it back into pure energy. So it's like, boom, turns it back into pure energy. And we're going to use that energy. And the good news is you don't have to be some special person to call upon that energy, because everybody already is that special person. And as I'll show people in a minute, you can just call upon it The other concept that's important is nobody's energy can stay stuck in your energy field unless it's hooking into something of yours. So we say that every human being is the sovereign of their energy field. They're the sovereign of their energy field. And if there's energy stuck in your space, it's because it's hooking into karma, contracts, unconscious programming, beliefs. When we're clearing this programming, we're also clearing whatever it's hooked into. Does that make sense?
It does. I had muted myself. It totally does. And I'm really glad you mentioned that, because I train a lot of yoga teachers and I always get the question like, well, what if people in my class have bad energy and it's going to kind of stick on me and, that kind of thing. And I think I really love and resonate with what you're saying, which is, if that happens, it's because there's something being mirrored back, or that's something that's also like triggering within you.
Well, and the people listening, now that they'll have this technique here in just a minute, they'll have something to do about it, because we actually consider it a gift. So if somebody's energy that isn't stuck in my space and I don't like the energy that's stuck in my space, I go, okay, there's a gift here. And the gift is it will help my M find what it's hooked into. And when it clears that, not only can I clear their energy, but other things in my life will improve. It has big generative effects. So let me take people through it. So everybody get comfortable. This is a really, really simple process. And one thing makes it hard is that so many of us are programmed that we have to make it hard. It has to be complicated. It has to take effort. And if everybody listening was a 5-year-old in a good mood, I could take everybody through this process and they do fantastic work. So everybody listening, if you can take a couple easy, deep breaths and access your inner playful child. And don't try to do this right. Don't try to figure it out. Don't go, oh, is it working? Just go, it's just a little fun game. And I'll find out later if it's working. So just treat it like it was a little playful game, like you're 5 years old and you're just having fun. So everybody take a deep breath. And I'm going to describe this as a visualization. And I want to assure the people who don't visualize well that it will work perfectly well for you too if you don't fuss about it. Your unconscious mind will be visualizing what I'm talking about, and that's plenty. So if you see it in your conscious mind, and if you don't see it in your conscious mind, either one works perfectly well. So easy, deep breaths. And imagine out in front of you is a golden screen, and put it out, a few meters, 8 feet in front of you. And just take a moment and go, I'm choosing to put my M, my inner wisdom and spirit, in charge of what happens. Just go, I give full 100% permission for that. And if any resistance comes up or any voices that go, but, or what about this? Treat them the way you treat your loved ones, which, often with your friends and loved ones, they're saying something and they need to say it, but you have no intention of doing it. So you just go, okay, I heard you. And then you ignore it. So in the same way, if any resistance comes up, don't resist it. Just go, okay, yeah, I heard you. And then just leave it alone. So again, affirm that your M, your inner wisdom and spirit, are in charge. And I'm going to ask your M to scan your body and energy field, scan your mind, and identify programming that your M wants you to let go of right now, and to identify what is that programming hooked into it that allows it to stay in your space. So it's identifying the program it wants you to let go of. It's identifying what it's hooked into. And as it identifies it, it turns the programming and what it's hooked into little tiny symbols and puts them up on your gold screen. And it doesn't matter what the symbols are, just ignore them. Just let them go up on the gold screen. And if there's any programming that's blocking this process, your M can put those symbols up on the screen and whatever they're hooked into. Easy, deep breaths. And one way to look at life is that everything that has blocked you was there for a purpose at one time. So I'd like you to send love to all the symbols on your screen. Just hold them in love trusting that at one point in your life they had some kind of purpose, or maybe it was a past life, or maybe it was for your ancestors, but it all at one time at least had a purpose. So hold it all in love. And then putting your M, your inner wisdom and spirit, in charge. Ask your M to call upon that eye of God energy and let it just fill the screen and dissolve all the symbols. And it doesn't matter whether they all dissolve right now, because I'm going to ask your M to put up more symbols for any programming it wants you to release, whatever it's hooked into, any programming that tells you you don't have a right to release the old programming, what that's hooked into. Again, hold all those symbols in love. Ask your M to call upon the eye of God energy and let that energy come down and dissolve everything on the screen. And remember, you'll be able to listen to this recording again in the future. So you're not trying to clear all your programming at once. Just whatever's just right. Think in terms of Goldilocks. Whatever's just right for right now. Not too much, not too little. Whatever's just right. Because you can always listen to these podcasts again. And one more time, if your M wants to, it's going to put up more symbols for programming it wants you to release, symbols for what they're hooked into, symbols for resistance that's blocking you from being able to release these, what that's hooked into. Hold them in love. Ask your M to bring down the eye of God energy to fill the screen and dissolve the symbols. Then go ahead and dissolve the screen. And I only know two quotes from Aristotle. One is, nature abhors a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. So in terms of what we're doing, you've been clearing energy, but you don't want to leave spaces in your energy field and body. So ask your M now and give it 100% permission to bring in more of your authentic essence, more of the vast being that you are, to bring more of that into your body and into your energy field, filling up any space that is in you with more of your essence and earth and universal energies that will support you in your next steps in life. And we're bringing in energies to help you process and integrate what you've just done. And we always want to ground. And there's a lot of different ways to ground. We have a different way we do it in Energetic NLP. People typically ground themselves into the earth. Well, the earth is a lot stronger than we are. So ask the earth to ground you. Imagine from the heart of the earth, the crystalline heart of the earth, a column of energy comes up to near the base of your spine, and give the earth permission now to fully ground you into your body. And that grounding column of energy is sending very gently, it's sending up energies from the earth that will nurture you and help you. And like the root of a plant, what nourishes you is coming up, and what you're ready to release goes down. So give the earth permission to be gently releasing from your energy field any energies that your M wants you to release now. And let the earth do all the work. All you need to do is give it permission and get out of the way. Take a couple easy deep breaths. And then it's good to stomp your feet, pat your body. It's good to look around the room and notice little details of what you can see and details of what you can hear and how your body feels against whatever you're sitting or lying on, or your feet against the floor. Okay, and let's bring in some sparkling energy to wake everybody up. How you doing, Brett?
Wow. Like looking at the clock, I'm like, how long was that? It wasn't even that long. I had some really profound insights.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. That was really cool. I love what you said about getting out of the way and letting the earth do the work. It's like I had a aha moment there, I think, and I felt really grounded.
Well, coming from you, I am especially thrilled to hear that. Thank you.
So tell us, because I'm sure listeners who maybe just did that might have questions like this for you. How often should we be doing something like this? Is it something that could be a part of a daily practice? Could it be something that if we got familiar with this sort of guided visualization that you took us through that we could do on our own for a longer period of time? What are sort of your recommendations? Because I know you said when we were in the meditation that you don't have to clear everything at once. I'm wondering, can you tackle something big like self-worth or whatever over in baby chunks over like a long period of time? And do you have to do it every day? I mean, people are going to have a lot of practical questions. So I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, so I'll let people know you can learn to do this quickly. So if you don't have much time, so when I wake up in the morning, I'll do it, and maybe I'll only take 2 minutes and just do it. Other times I might do it for a half hour. But even if you just did it for 2 minutes twice a day, it would have a profound effect on your life over time. It's also a great thing to do, like before you're going to see your family, or something to do before you're going into an important meeting or a sales call or a presentation. It's good to do for people like yourself and I who work with other people. It's really, really, really important to do after you see clients. They will have activated stuff in us, so that, which is a good thing if you clear it. And it helps our clients too. So we actually will, even when we're working with a client, we'll be doing it in the background, but definitely after you see a client, after people have been in a difficult interaction. But I would urge people to make it part of at least a once a day daily practice. It will have the cumulative effect will be quite profound.
And can they do it sitting or lying down or standing? Does the position of the body matter at all?
Yes, and no to the last part. So yeah, you can do it however you enjoy doing it.
And I had this experience, and I'm guessing some listeners might have as well. And since we have you, I'll ask about it. I felt like as I was doing the work, memories were coming up, and my mind was sort of trying to a little bit figure out things. Like I felt like my logical, conscious mind chattering and doing things, but then I just kept redirecting it to put the symbols on the screen, basically. Is that common? Any advice, tips, insights about that?
Well, it's very common, and the main thing is just not to feed it or fight it. Just let the thoughts come up, and you might later want to journal some of them. If that's something people do, but at the moment you want to just let all that float by, and you can notice it, but don't fight it, don't feed it. It's like when you meditate. It's just sort of like, okay, these are thoughts coming up, and I may want to come back to them, but don't get all wrapped up in them in the moment. And I want to say to people, sometimes you will get wrapped up in them. Don't worry about it. The main thing is just we're so trained that we have to analyze everything first, that some people will block the process because they think they have to analyze it. And their M, or your M, their M, which again is inner wisdom and spirit, won't let you dissolve it if it wants you to think about it. Everybody can relax about that one. It will only let you dissolve things if it thinks you're done with it. There's a category of things that I call learn do's. And they're things that your spirit wants you to learn, or it wants you to do something. And it's not going to let you clear the learn do's. It's going to go, there is some work you need to do on these. But anything that will just go, which is a lot of it, just let it go. It means you're done with it. Often people go, gee, what was the stuff I was releasing? And I'll go, the technical term is old shit. You know, it might not never have been really yours even, it might have been ancestral. It might have been past life. Does that make sense? So if it's something that you need to learn or do something about, your M isn't going to let you just dissolve it. So you can just relax about that.
When you took us into it, I feel like you kind of had us do like a mini body scan to figure out what we wanted to release. Can you speak to that a little bit? It's my last question, but do you sort of suggest people do that, or could they take the approach like I'm working on something very specific, like self-worth or self-love or jealousy or whatever, and they kind of go into the exercise with the clear intention that that's what they're focused on clearing, or is it better to just sort of let it be spontaneous?
They're both great. I highly encourage people, if they're working on something specific, to set that framework. And it's good sometimes to just go, hey, whatever's up, just trust it. And it's good to do both. Because if you always focus it, we're often not aware of some of the things that would most significantly enhance our lives and our spiritual and personal growth and our relationships. So I very much encourage people to focus it at times, and at other times just go, give it free rein.
Okay, nice. So, Art, this has been such a fun exercise, and I've loved getting to know you and connect with you. I want to make sure the listeners know where they can find you. I know you've mentioned some courses and trainings and things throughout our time together. So can you sort of let people know how you work with folks, what your offerings are, and any links I'll have in the show notes, but it would be great if you could just talk them through how they can connect with you online.
Well, thank you. One way for them to connect with me online, if they go to energeticnlp.com, so the word energetic, the letters NLP, like Nancy, Larry, Peter.com, they can go there. But also if they do a / and then go Sivana, put that after that, there'll be a special page for your listeners, and it will have a couple of things on there. One is, if they want, they can sign up for a webinar where I'll take them through a process to end or revise spiritual contracts. And there's also an opportunity on it for people that want to explore potentially working more with Energetic NLP. They can apply to have a one-to-one, we call it a Discover Your Miraculous Self session, to explore whether that's a fit for them. And it's also just for people who want to, because as part of it, we do a quick energetic read on people. So we will point out, okay, here's in order to meet your goals, here's what you need to work on: spiritual contracts, karma. So we'll give an evaluation of what are a person's next steps in their personal and spiritual growth. So again, if they go, and if they have trouble remembering what I just said, if they go to NLP for Energetic NLP, the lucky number 7.com /Savannah, that will also get them there.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll put that link right in the show notes. And I love it when people put together special things for the listeners. That's so awesome and nice of you. And yeah, everyone, definitely check that out. The webinar about ending and revising spiritual contracts. I know I'm going to check that out right after we're done recording. So, all right. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Savannah family, let me know what you thought of this week's episode and our guest. And I'd really love to know how this exercise, how this visualization went for you. Was it challenging, difficult? I'd love to hear from you. And remember, the number one way you can support this show is by leaving a rating or review here on iTunes, even if iTunes isn't how you normally listen to the show. So it's the new year. If you want to give back, if you enjoy the podcast, take a minute to leave a review today. And it can be really complicated to do on your phone. So we even have instructions on how you can do it. If you expand the description box where I'll have Art's links, there's also a link that will show you how you can leave a review. It means so much, and it really helps get the show in front of more people who are looking to transform their life through yoga, meditation, and now also Energetic NLP, which we got to learn about. I'm wishing you a beautiful rest of your week full of meditation and yoga and self-care. Come back to this podcast and this meditation. And from my heart to yours, namaste.
You've been listening to the Savannah Podcast. To find out more about Savannah, go to savannahspirit.com or follow Savannah on Facebook at facebook.com/Savannah Spirit. For daily inspiration, check out our blog at savannaeast.com. Be sure to join us next week for a new episode, and thank you for listening to the Savannah Podcast.